What's up, everybody? This is Master Ian Gamer, and welcome back to another live stream. Hope you're all having a lovely Thursday. We are back less than a day until we get to play the new hero Hazard for ourselves. I'm excited. I'm excited to play him, see how he plays. Curious to see his abilities. Kind of surprised they didn't show them off today. I was expecting the gameplay trailer to drop today, but I guess it'll be sometime tomorrow. Maybe shortly before he goes live on servers. I have no idea how they're planning to handle it. All I know is that they're going to be doing that, like, esports showing of him at, like, 5 in the morning, so yeah, that's going to suck. At least for people in the American time zones, but yeah, either way. We'll be playing him tomorrow, and I'm excited for that. So how are you all doing here today? Hello, Number Drop, Ian Ricardo, Justin, Kieran, Benjamin, Tinte, Scorpio, Sir Dragon, Marcus, Seven Evan, Carson, and Eddie P. I hope you're all having a lovely day here today. We'll be talking more about Hazard, I suppose, and playing some Overwatch too, because of course. Missed me? Oh, well, I didn't go anywhere. I mean, I guess I didn't do anything yesterday. I mean, I wasn't streaming, but, like, I'm here every week, at least a few times. But welcome back, Sir Dragon, either way. Strange there's no gameplay trailer, especially since tomorrow we're going to see on Twitch first before in-game. I mean, it's possible they drop the gameplay trailer like shortly before the like stream thing showing off his abilities, but that would be very weird. I don't think Blizzard, unless I could be forgetting, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Blizzard has ever officially shown off gameplay of a new hero prior to their gameplay trailer dropping. Ever. I don't think that has ever happened. Like, discounting, you know, the heroes that first launched into Overwatch. Like, at the very start. So unless they do drop the gameplay trailer at, like, 2 a.m., you know, US times, I don't think there's going to be a gameplay trailer before we see him being played in the esports thing. Which will be really weird. Because they're going to go into it and have no idea what he's about to do. And I'm kind of curious to see how he gets played by the people actually in the esports thing, because I'm curious how much they've played him. Presumably at least a little bit already, because they'd have to, otherwise they have no idea what they're doing. Apparently Hazard's VA is Highlander. Yeah, I saw people talking about that. That is kind of funny. Are we in school? I guess technically. Have you really not seen this background, Scorpio? I mean, I know you've been busy with stuff, but I thought you'd at least have seen this once before. Yeah, this is like my new alternate, just chatting. It's kind of nice. I like having a little podium. It makes me feel important. And I feel like it's a bit more like of a, you know, like a nice, like, cozy, close setting than the Kanazaka Mall. Not that I don't like the Kanazaka Mall, but I feel like this is a bit simpler. There's less, like, background stuff to distract you. So I like this one. Have I played with the kicks in Fortnite yet? I did. I played a few matches earlier today with the kicks. I played as Toph with my Nikes. It was very fun. Hello, Fat Dabs. Welcome. Didn't they do it for Juno? No, they showed off Juno's gameplay trailer first. I mean, I guess you could say technically we saw footage of Venture being played at BlizzCon prior to getting the gameplay trailer for them when they released, but, like, I don't count that because that was, like, early, like, dev beta test footage, effectively, of the hero. And then Juno, they dropped her trailer on the Thursday, and I believe it was the very next day then that her trial started. Hazard haunting at 3 a.m. Excuse me? I did see that Toga can wear the kicks. Mm-hmm. I was playing with a friend of mine who's playing Toga with the kicks. Hello, Nikita. I don't know Russian well enough to know what you said in your comment. Hopefully, it was something nice. Twoi Bashan? I'm not sure what Bashan means. I think it would be more fun if the esports team played a new hero the first time to try and win on the fly. I think that would be funny to watch. I don't know if it would give the best impression for a new hero, though, because it'd almost certainly make them look weak unless they, like, balance the hero to be really strong specifically for that test trial. Because, I mean, especially in an esports setting of all places where it's, like, high-end players, if there's, like, one person on a team playing a new hero that nobody's ever played against before, as before, they're going to get crushed by literally every other player. And they're going to make the hero look awful. Which is why I think they probably wouldn't want to do that. But you've never seen the background before. It's a nice one. Simple. Waifu on the wall. We don't talk about that. Gonna run the next election. No thank you. I'll stay clear of politics, as I tend to. Go on, teach. Teach what? I'm gonna teach you a lesson. That's what I'm gonna teach. Breaking the laws of Avatar by giving Toph stanky feet shoes. I will say, it does feel genuinely cursed to be playing as Toph while she's just wearing, like, tennis shoes. Like, like, obviously there's the meme of her not being able to see, but, like, just, like, seeing her wearing shoes just looks really cursed. Don't remember if they ever released a hero origin before their gameplay trailer. I can't remember. I want to say Baptiste's origin story was first, because I remember us speculating about his abilities based on the origin story video. So I'm pretty sure Baptiste's origin story released before his gameplay trailer. Sigma's as well, I'm pretty sure. I think that was actually how they did it for a lot of heroes back in Overwatch 1. It would be origin story first, then gameplay trailer. But, I mean, they've gone back and forth. They've certainly done both over the years. Been a while since you popped into one of the streams. It's you. Been busy with the wife. Last stream you were in, it was Hog got his rework. Wow, that was a long time ago. That was like a year ago. That was over a year ago. Wow, well, welcome back. Malga's mega strong and competitive. Yeah, he's like my new go-to in comp. Prior to the mid-season patch, it was Junker Queen, because she was ridiculously strong and had, like, no effective counters. And now it's Malga, so. Hello, just some stranger? I hope you won't be just some stranger for very long. Feel free to make yourself at home. Hazard's really grown on you. Hazard as a character has grown on me a lot. I really liked his origin story. I think they did a great job of making me like him as a character through that origin story. I think it was phenomenal. Like, one of the best origin stories we've seen in a while. I still don't like his design, though. I think it's just very bland. It doesn't do anything unique or interesting compared to, like, other characters. I think the best thing he has is, like, the crystal spikes, which, you know, once we actually see him in game, where his actual design will have the crystal spikes on his back, he'll probably look more interesting. But so far, all this promotional stuff, the teaser trailer, the origin story, all of it has featured him without the spikes, because it's him before he gets the Vanadium. So, like, his design looks bland because he doesn't have the one thing that makes him visually distinct. It's kind of weird how it's like played in effect. Guess Hazard's ult based on his design. I'm 90% sure his ultimate is going to be that like crystal shard rain we see him doing in the trailer, where he like jumps and fires a bunch of crystals out that just comes raining down in an AoE. It's probably going to be big AoE type thing, kind of like probably kind of like a Reese's ultimate, I would imagine. I think it's going to deal like moderate damage. Maybe it's a lot of damage over time, but it won't be like an insta-kill type thing like Reaper's kind of is. It'll be like a sort of gradual damage over time as it's raining, and it'll probably also have a status effect tied to it. Whether that's slowing, anti-heal, stunning. I don't know how a stun would work. That'd probably be really broken. Something. It's going to have some sort of status effect tied to it. Should add kicks to Overwatch. Give Sigma some shoes. Add Tims to Fortnite. Oh, don't you worry. They'll add every shoe they can get their hands on. Hello, Vladimir. Welcome. And Knuckles, welcome as well. You think the quick melee with similar to Queen's where it's left? It's also a left click. Quick melee. Ooh. Similar to Queen's. Do you mean Brig? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Vladimir. I think you're talking about Brig, how, like, her melee is just swinging the mace, the same as her primary attack. No, I don't expect him to work that way, because he clearly has, like, a crystal shotgun type thing. Rip origin stories. I'll be honest, I kind of like the narrated comics. They've definitely grown on me, especially with Hazard. I have my reservations about the voice fitting the character, but god damn if he doesn't have a nice voice to listen to. I really liked hearing him narrate that comic. I really enjoyed that. Give Juno some Tims with a Yankees hat. Oh boy. Design and name is the issue. Yeah, Hazard is the other thing where it's like, I do not like the name Hazard. I'm willing to bet it'll eventually grow on me and most people. Not to the point where it's like, oh, Hazard's a cool name, but we'll be like, okay, like we just like know him as Hazard, and that's just like how he's gonna play. Because like, it's such a weird name because of like the word hazard. Like, think about it this way. If you're in like a match and somebody's like, oh, Malga on point, Roadhog on point, Ball on point, like, you know exactly what that means. There's only one thing that could mean. But if somebody says hazard on point, well, hazard is like a danger, a safety issue. Saying hazard on point could mean there's a Torb turret on point. It could mean a lot of things. It means there's something dangerous on point. Obviously, most people are going to know that Hazard is a hero and understand, oh, they're talking about the specific hero named Hazard. But it's like such a weird like terminology to use for that sort of thing. It feels so clunky. Not to mention, it just really doesn't fit him as a character. Like Hazard? Hazard, for me, I assume like biohazard, radiation hazard. That sort of like hazard is what comes to mind. Which he just objectively isn't that. It's weird. It's weird. I do not like his name. But like, I think we'll get used to it. We'll get used to it and we'll just call him it the way we do with all other heroes. But like, I genuinely think that's the weakest part of his character, is the name. Actually really didn't like his old design. I I'll admit I wasn't like a huge fan of the original Freak design either. But what I like about it over his actual design is it looked more unique and interesting. It felt more visually just like distinct of a concept for a character. Whereas what he is now feels very just like watered down. And like, again, you know, maybe once we see him more with like the actual crystals on his back, that'll like really emphasize like his unique design aspects. But yeah. Oh yes, happy belated birthday, Knuckles, as well. I hope you had a good one yesterday. You think Hazard will be a meta definer or that he'll be a life weaver? I have no idea. We don't even know what his like kit is yet. I think it's more likely he's meta defining since historically, especially recently, that's how most new heroes are. But there's no way of saying one way or the other for sure. Opinion on Venture. I think Venture's fine. I don't like... They're not a character that I love by any means, but like I don't dislike them. They're just... I would say I'm like slightly positive on Venture. I think they're fun to play. So there's that. Junker Queen's Jagged Blade is melee and left click. Jagged Blade is right click. Unless you have your mouse reversed for some reason. If you were an Overwatch character, what would your ult be? It's a good question. I don't know. Maybe I'll just yap and bore everyone to death. Hello, Victor. Welcome. Good to see ya. Second, thought Ian got early access to Hazard. Nope. I haven't had that sort of privilege in quite a while at this point. Expect a slimmer tank other than Junker Queen to be in the game because the Marshmallow buff build is getting old. Yeah, I think Blizzard has really kind of fallen into a rut with tank designs. I think they're kind of scared to try anything too audacious because, well, they either become the only tank you can play or just utter garbage. Which is why I don't think we're ever going to see another hero like Wrecking Ball, so sadly. Hold up, gotta catch up on chat. You can just say has on point. Well, yeah, that's what people are going to say. That's like that is the call out people are going to use, and people are going to know that. But like the fact that the hero's name in game is Hazard is just weird. Like, that's not a good hero name. Not to mention, we were all calling him Freak beforehand, which is like, Freak is just, I think, a better name on like every level. It's easier to say. It's more fun to say. It has a funnier implication. And it feels like it better describes him. Also, it's kind of clever because it's a variant spelling of Freak with the PH instead of the F. Freak is just such a better name than Hazard. Which I think just even makes it worse. That it's like, oh, he could have been named Freak. Obviously, he wasn't named Freak because I don't think Blizzard would have done that just because of the implications of the name Freak. But like, to go from Freak to Hazard is just like, oh. It was so much better before. Hello, Elijah and Teacup Kittens. Welcome. Doesn't look like a character named Freak. Yeah, I mean, like, his actual design, since he's not like a mutant, doesn't really look that much like a Freak. I mean, I guess other than the whole punk aesthetic, which, like, you know, depending on who you ask, that's very freakish. So, but surely he's not the same sort of, like, mutant Freak we were anticipating. think chat is delayed. I'm just really behind in reading chat. Y'all are talking too much. Normally I'm the one yapping on stream. You all are so many. Wow, there's actually a lot of people here. That would explain why there's so many chat messages. Never see a mechanically intensive character again. I don't know. Might steal freak name for your game. It's a term for phone hacking, so cool for one of your two hacker characters. Yeah, and I think freak also would like, okay, well the name of the faction is like the Freaks, which like, yeah, that's definitely a play on the hacker terminology of freaking. Probably had to axe the name because of a party called Freak Offs. Yeah, I think in like the meta context, the term freak is just like not a viable thing they could have called a hero. And like I understand why they didn't call him freak specifically because of that. But like it would have been such a more fun name. Still prefer Space Ranger to Juno. I disagree. I like Space Ranger because it's like a cool, sort of like adventurous term, but like Juno is just short, succinct, and I genuinely think Juno is like an S tier name for the character. It fits her so well. Like when I first saw that her name was Juno, it's like, of course that's Juno. Like it fits her so well, which is why then when we get Hazard for Hazard, it's like, not as good. Make a hero that's a human, but his head is replaced by an Omnic head. Oh, that would be freaky if we got an Omnic character who like used human limbs as like a way of augmenting itself. Oh, that would be cool and horrifying. I thought he was gonna be like a Ninja Turtle. Yeah, I didn't necessarily expect him to be like a turtle human hybrid. I didn't think they were gonna go that far with it. But I thought there was going to be more of like a biomutant type angle, which is just not at all the direction. And that's the other thing. I'm so disappointed with the Freaks as a faction. It's like, never mind that they weren't the post-Moira experimented mutants we sort of expected them to be. Like, that would have been cool. But I'm not mad that they just weren't that. I'm mad that they're just nothing. They're just another cyberpunk-esque, rebellious, revolutionary group that's like specific to a very like small nationality in terms of like how they function. It's like another one. How many of these are we going to have in the Overwatch universe? All of them only existing for like one or two heroes. Like, we've already got the Junkers, we've already got Los Muertos, we've already got the Yokai. It's like there's so many just little one-off groups that only appear with the release of a new hero, and they're just so interchangeable at this point. The Freaks in particular, it feels like they don't even have like a unique trait to them. Like Los Muertos is like the fluorescent paint. Yokai is obviously based on Yokai. Junkers are Mad Max, basically. And then we get the Freaks, and it's like, okay, but what's actually unique about the Freaks other than that they're Scottish? They don't really seem to have anything unique other than that. Like, you can't even say that the animal motifs are unique for them, because, like, the animal motifs are really weak with them, first and foremost. And that's not even unique to them. Like, the Yokai are, like, quasi-animal, at least half of them. Need more animals acting as humans. Wrecking Ball and Winston are the only tank animals. I don't know. I think it'd be easy to go overboard with having animal heroes in game. I'm not itching for them to add another animal hero. I think they could get away with it if they played it right. But like I don't want them to go too heavy with it. I think having the two we have is fine. We're gonna get Jetpack Cat. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring Jetpack Cat back. Not all of them are Scottish though. But like they're all Scottish based. Scottish based, Scotland based. Like at least they seem to be. Vishkar being around since launch and still only having Symmetra. Lifeweaver is also tied to Vishkar. Crusaders? The Crusaders are dead. So Reinhardt's the only one left. No, they won't be when a Hazard voice line referencing Demo Man. They'll be gluing you back together in hell. They're gonna bury what's left of you in the shoebox. Not great at Scottish accents. Just want one Omnic as a DPS and at least one animal as a support. I think it could be cool if they did an animal support. They could probably play it well with that. Freaks have a Ravager. Wonder if Ramatra knows him. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I wonder if that'll be... I wouldn't be surprised if Hazard and Ramatra have like an interaction where it's like a Ravager. Like, oh, I know a Ravager in my gang, basically. And Ramatra will be like, what? Need the fox to be our animal companion? We already have one fox on the roster, and I think that's more than enough. I don't know what animal they could add is the other thing. Like, obviously, Wrecking Ball was like a real, like, they were really pushing it with adding him. Really pushing it. And I think they pulled it off. I think they played the character perfectly well in terms of execution. But, like, it would be risky to try that again. I think they would have to, like, pull it back a bit. I think Blizzard baited us with the color schemes of prominent green in the first hero design leak being green and black. Yeah. The color change I find to be kind of interesting. I don't know. Like, obviously it seems sort of weird that it's like, why did they change the color? But honestly, his design overall changed so much that, like, the color being different almost feels like, well, yeah, of course it's different. Like, it's fundamentally a different character than the placeholder they've been using. So, like, I guess the color change isn't as... It's jarring because we were so used to seeing that green up until now. But, like, in terms of them replacing it, it's like, that was probably just, you know, a byproduct of the change in his design. Ball has a potty mouth. I know, and it's great. Remember when Ashe came out, people were hoping for Bob to be the playable hero. Yeah, and I think Bob is honestly what makes Ashe interesting as a character in terms of design. Because a lot of people were talking about, like, oh, Ashe is another example of a character with a weak design. And, like, yes and no. I think she's on the weaker side of designs. But, like, Bob heavily makes up for that. Because of how unique of a component of her design he is. And, like, I think the unique design element for, I almost called him Freak again, good lord, for Hazard is the spike crystals on his back. Which, again, we just, like, haven't really seen much of yet, which is why I think he feels weak. And I think in-game his design will feel stronger, seeing him with the crystal spikes. But so far, just seeing this, like, bulky Sigma-looking guy... Is this like, huh? Who is the... What? Get Mudang as a DPS? I'm surprised Mudang has been as, like, prominent of a thing as it has been. Did you know there's a Mudang cryptocurrency now? cat or dog hero would be so cute. I think the issue with having a dog, specifically a dog, but I think this would also extend to cats to a lesser extent, is that it would be an issue on the gameplay front because people wouldn't want to shoot a dog. Like, you add in a dog as a hero, and you're like, okay, your job is to shoot the dog and kill it with this rifle. Yeah, I think we can see how that might be a bit of a gameplay impasse there. I think it's more likely we get like a robo dog if they do go that sort of route, which I'm always down for more robots and omnics getting added. I would not mind if one of them was based off of an animal in design. I mean, arguably Orisa's kind of like that. I would love to see more. Killing gorillas is okay. Well, sure, gorillas are more like humanoid, you know? Gorillas aren't some like cute little innocent pupper that's gonna like, you know, cuddle you when you're sad. A gorilla is like a big scary monster almost. And then Wrecking Ball, you could argue, oh, he's a cute little hamster, but he's so annoying and such a big asshole on like the personality front that you just want to kill him, which is how they circumvent it with him. Also, he's in a giant mech, so it doesn't feel like you're shooting a cute little hamster. It feels like you're shooting a big metal ball that's trying to smash you. So they make it work. But if you just have like a dog that like carries health packs and like helps people who are injured, nobody's going to want to shoot that. Nobody is going to want to shoot that. They couldn't do a hero like that. Not unless they made it either a robot or somehow made it feel less like you were just killing an animal. Because they can't have that in the game. That would not be popular. People would love playing as the hero, but people would not like playing against it. Personally, I think Winston is adorable. Well, sure, but he's still a giant gorilla. So, like, on just like a psychological level, it's easier to shoot that when it's running at you with a electricity cannon than it would be to shoot a small dog that's trying to help someone on the enemy team. Like, it's all about the psychology of it. Harambe was beloved. Well, yeah, but that's because Harambe was a real animal. Giant gorilla, just like in those old video games. And Proto, welcome. All the animal heroes you've thought of are tanks. I think it would be cool if we got a non-tank animal hero. You know, 2 or 3 people that would most definitely shoot a dog if it were an opponent. And I know a lot more people who wouldn't want to shoot that dog, so. See ya, Willow. Take care. Dog with a flamethrower. A Junker dog could be interesting. They could make it like... It could be like Junkrat, where it has like a bunch of prosthetics. Made a concept for an otter healer support. An otter would be an interesting one. I think that would probably work better than a dog, because otters are cute, but I don't think people have that inherent sort of like passion and like sympathy toward them that they do with like dogs. So like I think it would work better to have an otter that was running around healing people as like an enemy you're trying to kill rather than a dog. You rocket raccoon. Yeah, maybe a raccoon could work as well. An omnic monkey. That could be so interesting. I mean, when you think about like on a biological level, primates actually have really practical body designs. So if you could imagine like an omnic that had been designed pre-crisis to be like a, I don't know, some sort of like construction type thing that could like navigate like scaffoldings and like weld stuff or like, you know, do something on that level, it would make sense to have it have like a primate design, because that would be really useful for getting around those sorts of environments. So like arguably something like that could exist in the Overwatch universe, and it'd be interesting if we saw that as like a hero. octopus or dolphin could be possible, as they're smart enough but not really cute enough. I feel like aquatic animals would be a really difficult thing to pull off, because it would have to be in some sort of like suit, you know? Like even beyond Wrecking Ball's mech. Like obviously Wrecking Ball uses the mech in game, but like he doesn't need the mech. He's a hamster. He can just live wherever. But he uses the mech because, you know, it works. An octopus or a dolphin would be dependent on like a water suit to function. And I think that would probably push it too far into the realm of the absurd, where like it would become even more ridiculous than Wrecking Ball, where it's like, really, this octopus is running around on a battlefield in like a weird like reverse diving suit? Like, not to say that they couldn't pull it off. I just think it would be extremely difficult, even harder than I think pulling off Wrecking Ball was. They could potentially do it, but I don't know. Back in the day, we thought Hammond was going to be a chimpanzee. We did. And you know what? That is actually a great example of Blizzard subverting our expectations in a good way with a new hero. We thought for sure Hammond was going to be a chimpanzee, and then he's revealed to be a hamster. And it was amazing. Like, a lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people did think it was stupid and over the top, but like, by and large, I think people bought it because it was so fun and unique and ridiculous of an idea that it worked. And I don't think the same applies to Hazard. We were going into the release of Hazard being like, oh, he's going to be a post-Moira experiment. He's some sort of weird animal mutant type thing. This will be crazy. And then it's like, oh, he's not that. Okay, well, what is he? He's a generic cyberpunk bulky guy. He feels utterly derivative of heroes that already exist. Which I think is why myself and so many others are having an issue with Hazard, is it's like, if they had done something unique and cool and interesting for him that wasn't what we expected, but it was still unique and cool and interesting, then people would have liked him. But he's not unique and cool or interesting. I mean, I guess he is kind of cool. I shouldn't say that. He's pretty cool. But like, he doesn't feel unique or interesting enough, I think, is the big issue. He just feels like more of what Overwatch already is in terms of like character designs. And so that's why it's underwhelming, because we were expecting something that would be new and original in the game, and then he's just not, at least on the design front. But you know, I'm still holding out for him to have a cool kit and abilities. I do really hope he does, because he'd be pretty cool to play. I'm excited to see how the crystals work, because those are definitely the most interesting part of him. Surprised you how he looks? Well, for you, it seems like you were surprised in a good way. Of which there are a lot of people who do really like his design. And like, I also want to say, like, if you love Hazard, if you like his name and you love how he looks, then like, more power to you. I am glad there are people who like him. It's just, I am not a fan at the moment. So that's all I can say. Hero that's based on the sea would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think it would be cool if there was like a water-based hero in some way that had like water as like an element or like a part of their kit, because that's something we haven't really seen explored. Winston dreams of female Wintons. That he probably does. There was one guy on YouTube who actually figured out Hammond was a hamster, which the devs were impressed. Yeah, I remember that. There was, I remember there's like a Reddit post or something at the time that was like outlining how the person had like predicted it way ahead of time. No, yeah, that was impressive. Because nobody believed him was the other thing. He had the whole theory about Hammond being a hamster and nobody believed him. And then he was right. I love that. I feel like it's almost unfair since our expectations were so high. I mean, yeah, we did have high expectations. But like, I don't know. I don't think it's fair either to say like, oh, you expected something great and you were giving something mediocre. You should be happy with the mediocre thing. It's like, why? Hazard didn't have to be what I expected him to be for him to be something that would impress me, and he doesn't impress me. So like, there's a lot of things they could have done, and I don't think they did something that was impressive. That's my take on it. Although I will say, banger origin story. I like Hazard as a character. Like, I love his backstory. I just don't like his design or name. Hammond, hamster. Right, but the idea of having a hamster as a hero was so ridiculous that, like, people couldn't believe it ahead of time. There's even the poster on Junkertown that said champion, showing off Wrecking Ball. Granted, a very different early iteration of Wrecking Ball, which is a really fun comparison to make. The old Junkertown Wrecking Ball poster compared to what he actually looks like as a hero. Really different. But yeah, like the poster itself, like the C on the front of champion is like scratched off, just like from like the wear and tear of the poster. So it literally says Hampion. H-A-M-P. And like people still didn't pick up on it. You figured it's going to change, especially given that at BlizzCon last year, they didn't want to show anything since it was too early to show. Right, I'm not surprised that he changed, should be the thing I say. I'm not surprised that Hazard is different from what they showed off back then and what we expected. It's just that I wish the thing he was different as was something I liked. That's the issue. What's the original Wrecking Ball poster? You never saw it. I'd have to like look for. You can easily look it up, or you can just go on Junkertown. Actually, you know what? We can just do that. Oh, I actually have to launch Overwatch still. I should do that before I start streaming. We can take a look at the poster, but people are somewhat like this with Ana and Orisa since they were expecting someone else. Yeah, I guess Ana was pretty similar because everyone was thinking she was going to be Sombra. And like, you know, that was both Ana and Orisa were a long time ago. So I can't remember specifically how the reception to them were when they released. But I feel like the reception to them was better because I think they're both more interesting characters, at least on a design front. Ana on like a lore front is really interesting. I don't know. I do kind of recall people not liking Orisa, like not liking her design. They thought she just looked weird. Which, like, to be fair, she does. Imagine if the plane that crashed and caused Hazard's accident was Tracer's slipstream experimental plane, like after she phased out of time. Yes, I've been seeing that theory go around a lot. And it is really weird how, like, in the comic, they used the exact, like, slipstream ship design for the ship that crashed and injured Hazard. But, like, if you look at, like, I think the timeline specifically, as well as the fact that like clearly it's being shot down by like a black aircraft in the comic, you can see it getting shot down. Seems to imply that it just isn't the slipstream. Even though like the context surrounding it makes it very much feel like it could have been. It's weird because it almost feels like also the way it's played off, because Hazard is like, oh, they did nothing to help me. Well, of course they did nothing to help you, because they weren't going to acknowledge that the aircraft ever even existed in the first place, because it was a top secret experiment. And so that's like the perfect context to explain why the system failed him, because of a very unique set of conditions that just happened to go wrong for Hazard. Like, it's weird. On like a story level, it's all there. Like, they could have made that how it worked. But then it's just not, because we see the black aircraft shooting down the Overwatch jet, which, you know, unless they're going to retcon Tracer's lore and say that the slipstream experiment was like compromised by Talon, I don't think it was actually the slipstream. It is weird, though, how like close they are. It feels so close that it must have been like deliberate on their part to make it seem similar. Because also Tracer's British, Hazard is Scottish, so like geographically super close to each other. It's like so much connects, and yet they deliberately went out of their way to prove that it wasn't the same thing. Feels like bait. It does. It feels like bait. It's like trying to lead you to think it was Tracer's accident that injured Hazard, but then it just wasn't. It's so weird. It's so weird. Here, let me find Junkertown. We can take a quick look at the hamster poster. I don't know. I'm curious to see if they end up like saying anything more about the accident that injured Hazard, because I wouldn't be surprised if they try to like retcon it into being actually tied to Tracer's lore. Like that's absolutely the sort of thing I could see them doing. But so far, it seems like too stretched that it's just like not what they're trying to do. Okay. 1 second. Oh, whoops. It's the wrong scene. There we go. There's one around here, I'm pretty sure. There it is. Let's see, Wrecking Ball, Champion, but see how the C is cut off, as is like the ON. The emphasis on the HAMP. I guarantee you that was deliberate. I guarantee you that was deliberate, because we know Wrecking Ball was well in the works before the release of Junkertown. And like you can even see from the image here, like that is a vastly, like that is Wrecking Ball, but a very different version of his mech. Because you can see there's like a robot head popping out the top on the bottom one. Which, you know, in game, it's actually the hamster that comes out. Ow! Stop it. No James, no gaming. No, we'll be playing some Overwatch in a bit. We've just been chatting, as we do. Let me catch back up with chat. It's too much of a coincidence. Yeah, it is weird how coincidental the whole thing is. Would have made way more sense. It would have been a really interesting and unexpected connection to Overwatch if they had played it that way. And like, I wouldn't have even minded them retconning Tracer's lore just a little bit to have like a slightly different outcome of the slipstream, to like say, oh, Tracer disappeared, but the jet itself, you know, just got teleported somewhere, or even like just teleported through time, but without Tracer. And that's how, you know, the military wasn't able to like explain it, because it literally came from a different time. And that's why it screwed Hazard so much, because there's no explanation for it. Like, it could have worked so well, but there's, like, enough evidence countering it that I don't think that's actually what it is. In London Calling 2, the slipstream was actually down by the RAF, not Overwatch, which was a retcon. Okay. So slipstream was part of the RAF as opposed to Overwatch, which like further ensures that it wasn't the slipstream that injured Hazard, because it was an Overwatch jet, not a RAF jet in the comic. Again, it's so weird how similar they are, but like not, you know? And I also think it would have been more interesting if they'd sort of played the angle of like Hazard was injured not because of the actions of a malicious entity like Talon. You know, Talon shot down the Overwatch jet, the jet crashed, Hazard got injured, but rather it was just Overwatch's own, just like reckless experimentation, just had this weird long side effect of injuring Hazard. I think that's a lot cooler of like an origin because it plays so much more into his backstory of like the system is shit. The people at the bottom just get shat on constantly. Where it's like even organizations like Overwatch are so reckless and uncaring that like, oh yeah, they're doing this weird stuff they shouldn't be doing, and people are paying for it who are not otherwise involved and aren't responsible, and it's not their fault. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird how close it is. Is Haz meant to be a reliable narrator? Is the plane getting shot down something that he knows to be true? I mean, the fact that we see it visually represented in the comic, to me, conveys it probably is true. I think it would be really... It'd be really dubious to, like, depict something like that in a comic that, like... To literally depict the Overwatch jet getting shot down by a black, unspecified ship, to literally depict it in the comic, and to then be like, oh, maybe or maybe that didn't happen. Like, that seems like a dick move on, like, a storytelling front to do it that way. Wouldn't be the first time they retconned something. No, which is why I would be fine. I genuinely would be fine with them retconning details of the slipstream accident in order to say that it was responsible for Hazard being injured. I would be fine with that. But the comic, Hazard's own comic, presents conflicting information to suggest that it wasn't the slipstream. Okay, yeah, Proto, I see the panel you sent. Yeah, it does specify RAF there, which is interesting. If I'm gonna be real, I almost wouldn't rule out the fact that the author of London Calling may have just gotten that wrong. I don't know. I don't know where the lore officially stands, but... Love the Pocket King story. The Pocket King story I liked. I liked because it was Maximilian, and I think Max is a cool character. I'm glad he's finally back in the story again. I'm very curious to see what they're planning to actually do with it, though. More than likely, I think they're aiming to make him a hero, like, sometime within the next year. But... like all the bits of lore that show how shady Overwatch is. They blackmailed a minor into becoming a child soldier for them and only offered to save Genji's life if he joined. Yeah, I like the Blackwatch side of things. I like the idea that, like, Overwatch overall was probably doing mostly good stuff, but absolutely had this, like, underside that just... They did shit they shouldn't have, but it was kind of what they needed to do. And it's like, that's pretty realistic. Every good, well, you know, maybe be careful what I say, but there's always a shadowy underside of things. Let's just say that. Maybe a second slipstream is when they tried to recreate it. That feels like a stretch. I don't think there's really any evidence for that. At that point, it could just be literally anything. Glad you're an Omnic like Max because you both don't like Overwatch. Excuse me? When did I ever say I didn't like Overwatch? Blackwatch is the cooler side. Yeah, but Blackwatch needs Overwatch to exist, you know? Does MIG Studios have a shadowy underside? Don't worry about it. You don't need to know about that. Ones we know that have been a retcon is D.Va no longer being pro StarCraft player, Zenyatta's age changing from 20 to 33, Overwatch UN ceremony from the Are You With Me cinematic, etc. And honestly, when it comes to like an ongoing story like Overwatch's, I don't mind retcons of that nature. Like little things like, oh, Zenyatta's age has been changed. It's like, I don't really care about that. Because like that doesn't really impact things. And I think if like a small retcon enables you to tell a much greater future story beat, then it's usually worth it. Like I'm absolutely not against that at all. So I don't know. Hello BT23, welcome. Yeah, I guess overall though, to just talk about Hazard more, like what is your all thoughts on Hazard at this point? Obviously there's a lot of negative backlash when he first got shown off, but I'm curious what people think at this point. Like has he grown on y'all at all as a character? One for Sojourn where they changed her age from 47 to 51. Yeah, and that's one where it's like it didn't even feel like they changed it in the sense of like, oh, like 5 years ago they'd established something and then had a new story beat they wanted to change. That just felt like they weren't consistent with their own lore they were actually like actively writing. So that one's a bit different where it's like, okay, well, you guys just messed up on that one basically. As opposed to, oh, we should change this thing so we can do something cooler going forward. If the slipstream still exists, it's on Watchpoint Black Mesa. Isn't it Grand Mesa? I believe it's Grand Mesa, not Black Mesa. It would be cool if it was Black Mesa. And I would not be surprised if Watchpoint Grand Mesa is literally a reference to Black Mesa. But I'm pretty sure it's Grand Mesa in the actual lore. Yeah, because since it's weapons development, it's like, that's probably a Black Mesa reference. A Half-Life reference, I should say. Not a fan of his name. Freak sounds better. Yeah, that's I think that's like the biggest thing I have still, where it's like, the design is whatever. There are a lot of people who like it, and that's cool. I don't like it. I think it's underwhelming, but I'm fine with it, basically, as just what he looks like. It's the name I really don't like. Hazard just doesn't work for me. Felt bad for what he went through. Also respect the voice actor. Oh, yeah. No, the origin story absolutely made me like the voice actor a lot more. He has a nice voice. I like listening to him read stuff. I would listen to an audiobook read by him. Family came from Scotland, so you can relate to that. Ah, I didn't know that, Proto. Cool. Playing Fortnite because there's only 9 days left. He has grown on you a little bit. They just need to change his name and give his original concept design as another skin. I do hope they do that original concept as a skin, because it's not so different that they couldn't make that just like a legendary skin he has at some point. And it would be a good way to just be like an homage to like, yeah, this is what you guys expected. It's not what we went with, but like, here, it's a skin. You can use that. Like, I really hope they do that. Hello, Vivid Daydream. Welcome. Love Juno the most with her voice acting. Yeah, Juno's voice acting is pretty good. You like the new key art of Hazard. The hero's proportions fit the world and are distinct enough to be a different silhouette from the other heroes with similar weapons and mass. New key art? Key art? What key art did they release of him? I mean, there's the images we have from the comic, and they've shown off like a couple different images for things. I don't think they've done like a proper key art of what his thing's going to look like in game, though. Like, we know his in-game model. We know what that's going to look like. We saw it at the end of the videos, but we're going to play Overwatch. Did they just recently post the key art? Oh, they showed off the spray for him as well. That's going to be part of the finals they can get. I actually like how he looks in this spray. Again, I think the crystal spikes are what makes the design for him. Without them, he just looks really bland. But like seeing him pose like this with like the crystal spikes, it's pretty cool.